New Zealand's general elections have been postponed by 4 weeks as the country tackles a new outbreak of the coronavirus. Australia reported its biggest one-day rise in COVID-19 deaths, numbering 24, following a second wave of infections. This surge is seen in Monday's trail of COVID-19 cases, showing global toll to be nearing the 22 million mark. Deaths now total 775,879, while over 13 million people have recovered from the disease. The top 5 countries remain unchanged, but their figures are changing with an upward wing as the U.S. tally is now approaching 5.5 million. Brazil follows with a distant 3.3 million. India has over 2.6 million cases, and Russia is struggling to keep her infection toll under 1 million, while South Africa now has more than 587,000 cases. In what seems to be a gradual decline in numbers, Nigeria recorded 298 cases of COVID-19, down from the usual count of 400. This new figure brings the total to 49,068 confirmed cases, that is. More than 70% of that number, being 39,497, have recovered, while the death toll is put at 975. The rise in numbers in infection toll has kept governments and scientists on their toes in a race to develop a vaccine to deal decisively with the scourge. The outcome of one of such efforts is the thrust of our discourse today on COVID-19 myths and facts. And so for tips and thoughts regarding COVID-19 today, here are essential guidelines on how you can protect your children from COVID-19, especially in school. Experts at the CDC have recommended the following. Before going to school, talk with your children about the virus. That's hygiene, like washing the hands and wearing masks. Listen to their concerns. Practice mask wearing with the little ones. Praising their behavior to encourage it while at school. Check for high temperature and other signs of illness each morning. Load their backpacks with hand sanitizers and other cleansing products, as well as water bottles, so they don't need to use the fountains. Consider how they are getting to school. Some places are limiting bus capacity to 1 child per seat, halving the number of students who attend each day, and requiring masks on buses. Now, when they get back from school, that's after school now, at the end of each day, consider a household protocol for when the children come home. You might want them to remove their shoes and their clothes before coming into the house. Have them wash their hands immediately. Wash the face masks that they have worn, and talk to the child about how school is going and interactions generally, and get to know their feelings. There are about 28 potential COVID-19 vaccines in different stages of clinical trials in 13 countries all over the world. We examine the potential of CoronaVac. This is developed by a Chinese company and is now reportedly in the 3rd stage clinical trials.
In other parts of the world, 139 vaccines are being explored but are yet to get to clinical trials. CoronaVac is one of a number of Chinese-produced vaccine candidates for COVID-19 treatment that has crossed the first 2 stages of clinical trials and is now in what is known as the late-stage human trials. China's Sinovac Biotech is conducting the late-stage clinical trials with 1,620 patients in Indonesia because there are fewer infection cases available at home. Sinovac's Stage 2 trial, which involved 600 patients in China, showed that after use, the rate of fever in patients was relatively lower than other COVID-19 products. Mid-stage trials are usually done to test a candidate's safety and ability to trigger an immune response in a relatively small number of patients before they enter late-stage tests. This comes less than a week after Russia announced the production of its own candidate for vaccine treatment, Sputnik, viewed with skepticism around the world as it was yet to complete the 3rd phase of trials.
Joining me via Skype to talk through this is Dr. Japhet Olubogi. He is the chairman, NMA Lagos Committee on COVID-19. Thank you so much for joining in, Japhet.
Thank you very much for having me.
Great. So things are looking up, wouldn't you say, considering the fact that we have a couple of countries coming up with vaccines and all, especially China, from where the virus emanated, championing the production of vaccines.
Yes, thank you very much. Well, in China, they've been working on vaccines right from day one, from the word go. It's good news to now hear that they have a vaccine that's already in phase 3. We expect that in Russia and the UK and the America as well, they also expedite actions and develop some form of vaccine against this virus. It is a long time coming for a vaccine to be discovered against COVID-19.
Now, it is said that to develop a vaccine takes a couple of years, maybe a decade or two. Now, this is being hastened. Would you say technology is behind this?
Yes, apparently technology has to be behind this because, like you rightly mentioned, to develop a vaccine could even take up to a decade because the stages require that the vaccines be tested, especially in stage 3 and stage 4, require that the vaccines be tested in a large number of people, in the thousands of them. Phase 3 that we are talking about should at least nothing less than 3,000 people that have to be administered the vaccine to, while phase 4, several thousands of people, and this could take several years. But for COVID-19, the world cannot afford to wait for that long. The world cannot afford to wait 5, 6, 10 years to have a vaccine against this terrible virus that's held the whole world at ransom. So technology has to be behind the hastening of the vaccine against COVID-19, which is a welcome development.
So should we be concerned about, given the fact that we have a whole lot of countries and organizations coming up with vaccines, should we be concerned about the vaccine working well with people of different races and other demographics?
Yes, it's a good point, but then again, we shouldn't be concerned because, like we rightly mentioned, vaccine production has stages, and these stages put all these factors you just mentioned into consideration. Let us also not forget that even vaccine itself is being developed. Some scientists develop the vaccine. A number of other scientists also produce the vaccine before it's being tested. So there are about 4 stages of vaccine production itself. Some people will discover the vaccine, some people will produce the vaccine, some people will actually develop the vaccine itself, and then it will be tested on a group of people. So the concerns as to whether people of other races should worry whether it should be okay for them or not does not suffice, because when we have that clinical trial, it factors into it administration or to people of lesser ages, people of different races, even pregnant women. So all forms of confounding factors are employed when it comes to vaccine testing. And then before the vaccine itself could be declared by the FDA as a good vaccine for people to use, it should have passed through these kind of stages, and these fears will have been addressed. And if for any reason that vaccine should not be potent in some races, or would not be appropriate for some races, it should be expressly stated that this vaccine is not to be used maybe in adults or in children or in a particular race or even in pregnant women. So that fear is not founded.
All right. Again, still staying on the numbers, it is safe to say that distribution and availability of the vaccines will be kind of easy, considering the number of countries and organizations coming up, to produce vaccines. If and when a handful of them get the green light, as in the go-ahead to say, look, this is okay, I think the distribution will be easier and more accessible.
It's too early to predict that because, if they produce a vaccine in China, it depends on how much resources, how much network of distribution the particular company that's actually mass producing it has. And it also depends on the cost, if it's freely available for the third world countries or not. Because if they're not producing vaccine in your country, you don't expect that you would have express access to the vaccine compared to indigenous people of the country where the vaccine is being produced. So it depends on so many factors, the number of companies that are producing the vaccine, the purchasing power, or the cost of the vaccine, and then the distribution network as well. And then the yearning of the Ministry of Health of a particular country towards, purchasing or assessing that kind of vaccine for their population. It's yet to be seen if the African population will have easy access to these vaccines in time, because, like you said, if they produce the vaccine today, it may take a number of weeks, if not months, before they can actually spread around all over the world for people to have access to it. And then let's not forget that even when the vaccine is being produced and is actually being declared as efficacious for people to use, in this part of the world, we still have to deal with the fact that a lot of people have skepticism as to whether the vaccine is good for them, as to whether it's a 4G or 5G network or something. So we will still have to battle with the problem of convincing people to take the vaccines in the first place in this part of the world.
Okay, finally, talking about skepticism, there are those who feel they have the rights, their rights to take the vaccine or not take the vaccine. Quickly, as we round up now, what do you make of that?
Yes, there are those who actually feel they have a right to even do COVID-19 test or not in the first place. It's part of the problem, challenges that the response in Lagos and in other parts of the country, for that matter, has been faced with. A lot of people, even after being tested positive, never wanted to be evacuated to the isolation centers, the leave force addressing. So yes, we may encounter a problem with people who feel they have a right not to receive the vaccine or a right to receive the vaccine. So I think the government needs to formulate a policy to deal with that. I know there's a bill of the NCDC that's been read or that's been worked on at the National Assembly to give power to the DG of the NCDC to be able to administer forcefully this kind of vaccine to people. But, it's yet to be seen what happens with the bill and whether the power will be given to the DG NCDC or anybody that could administer the vaccine, for that matter, to forcefully ensure that everyone gets the vaccine. Until we do that, for us.
Thank you so much, Dr. Japheth Olupogi. You're the chairman, National NMA Lagos Chapter, COVID-19. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts in this regard.
Thank you for having me once again.
All right, take good care. And that's our package in today's edition of COVID-19 Myths and Facts. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, whatever you do, stay informed and stay safe. Bye for now.